So, Eric, as we're talking about communion with the Lord, and previously we talked about abiding in the presence of the Lord, in other words, sort of like a continual thing throughout the day, how does a person keep the world from coming in and kind of stealing that abiding, stealing that awareness, that sensitivity? Because that happens a lot of times.
Yeah.
Things that we encounter in life sort of jar us out of that place. How do we keep that from happening?
Well, Madame Guyon said, anytime the passions are turbulent, a gentle retreat inwards unto a present God easily deadens and pacifies them, which I think is a great way to put it together. You know, the secrets of the abiding place are learned in the secret place. So the more we learn how to be with Him alone, we do those things that we do alone in length real quick. That's how we be with Him, and that's how we abide with Him. How you found Him alone, which it took time, and you take time to do it. You do that in the public place quickly. So even as she said, that gentle retreat inwards unto a present God easily deadens and pacifies. And so to me, that's how, the lusts of the world, all the pressures of this life, relationship issues is probably one of the biggest ones. It's relationships with people. But that's where it all starts and ends. Practicing the presence of the Lord that you found alone in public. That's what abiding is. So I think that's the secret.
So you're taking some of the things that you've learned to do in the secret place.
Yeah.
And you apply them then throughout your whole life.
Yeah, quickly.
So what are some of those things that you learn to apply?
For me, I say this sometimes hundreds of times a day because the soul is constantly needing to be stilled. And so we must constantly look at Jesus so He can calm the soul, especially when pressures start coming up and you start getting scattered. You can feel it, And so what happens is a man must choose in that moment to begin to look to the Lord. So I'll say this sometimes hundreds of times a day. Lord, I give you all my attention and I worship you. Sometimes I'll steal away. If I feel myself getting scattered in a meeting or something, I'll say, I got to use the restroom. I'll go to the restroom and I'll close my eyes and I'll say, I give you all my attention and I worship you. Or you can do it without even saying anything. Just while you're talking to someone, you can do it. One of the things I had to learn when I was driving all the time for construction was how to address the Lord with my eyes open because I was driving. Because I used to always close my eyes. Lord, I give you all my attention. I worship you. But while I was driving, I had to look at the road. And I would have my eyes open at a stoplight or something. At the stoplight was actually where I could close my eyes. But as I was driving, I would say, Lord, I give you all my attention. And I worship you. Just letting the heart go up to Him. And I would sense everything would switch. Everything would change. The terrible day didn't matter anymore. It doesn't even matter. Everything in Him matters then at that moment. You know exactly what I'm talking about. When you're pressured, you have all kinds of stuff, and it feels like this is never going to get done. I just want out of this life. Then all of a sudden you turn to Him, that gentle retreat inwards, and all those things are deadened and pacified. Now they don't matter anymore. They'll still get done, but they don't matter anymore. They have no bearing on you. You are removed from them. They don't have power. Now you have power over them.